Hey everyone, Giselle here, and welcome to my fourth vlog for the NEWTs Readathon 2018. I've been having such a fun time vlogging, and I'm so glad you're along for the experience and ride. You guys are awesome. Ignore the screaming children outside. I'm trying to. Anyway, today is the 17th of August. It's a Friday, so I don't have work today. Praise. And I feel like I really needed this day off. So it is actually 10 a.m. now, and Christopher had to go to work early today. He left around 8, and he probably won't be back until, I hope he's back by like 6, but he probably won't be back till like 7 or 8. Unfortunately, he had a big deadline coming up, and he needs to stay until it really gets completely finished and submitted, so hopefully he won't be gone forever. But I mean, if you want to find a bright side of it, it just means that I can read a little bit more, so hopefully I can focus on reading and really pound out some books today. I think my plan for the day is going to be to really just try to get through as many of my shorter books as I can so that I feel like I'm ahead. So, update of how far I am through the NEWTs right now. I have an A in Ancient Runes, an A in Arithmancy, an E in Astronomy, an E in Care of Magical Creatures, an E in Herbology, an O in Muggle Studies, and an O in Transfiguration. So I have 14 so far, and today's the 17th. And then I have read 5 other books that don't count yet because I don't have the qualifying ones before that. I did have to add another book to my TBR that I didn't realize I needed to originally. I need to see if I can get it from the library for September because I just need to read it before the middle of September. So if I can push that book back until that point and get it from another library later, then I will. Otherwise, I'm going to have to fit that in. So I'm going to have to rearrange some things. But I do have a plan for reading for the day. So I'm currently reading The Highwayman by Kerrigan Byrne, and this is counting for my book with a male lead character for potions. And I already have my O in potions, so all I need to get is my A, which I'm currently reading as well. Spinning Silver by Naomi Novik, but I'm only 3 or 4 hours into that book, and it's 18 hours long, so I'm gonna have to split it up over the next week or so and just read a little bit a day. I think it's gonna be the best way to get through it, but I don't really plan on picking it up today unless I feel super inclined. Like I said, I want to get through some shorter books. So I do want to get to my E in Arithmancy, so I already have my A and my O with Suddenly You for a book that's over 300 pages, and About That Night being for a book that is not the first in a series. And then E is a book that ends on an even number of pages, so I want to read my E book for that, which I'll let you know what it is when I get to it. It's an interesting one. I'd also like to get to my A in a Defense Against the Dark Arts, read a book that's last in a series, and I also would like to get to my Read a Foiled book, which will be really easy for my E in that, and then possibly start my O in that as well. So I want to just get through a lot today, so that's the plan. Let's see how it goes. So right now, I only have 2.5 hours left of The Highwayman. I've been up since 7 this morning, and I didn't have time to read for the first hour before Christopher left because we were working on the vlog, trying to get it up today, which it did go up today, yay. But I've listened to 2.5 hours of it so far, so I'm going to finish this up this morning, and then we'll see what I move on to. Alright, so it is now 11:30, and I just finished The Highwayman by Kerrigan Byrne, and I really liked it. It was wonderful. There are some things that are like stopping me from like completely like give it a 5-star rating and stuff like that. Like, it was very cheesy, and he's like the most powerful man in the world, blah blah blah. Like, it was a bit like ridiculous and eye-rolly at parts, but I really liked it. And it just, I was losing faith in my historical romance. I think all the historical romances that I read so far this month have been not good. And I was like getting frustrated and losing faith. No, I just needed to read a really good one. I like this. I understand why everyone loves it and recommends it, and I'm so glad that I finally read it. It had been on my TBR for a while, but it wasn't like the top of the list. It was pretty far down, and I decided to bump it up for a challenge for the Ripped Bodice Summer Romance Book Bingo, and I'm really pleased with it. So it was heartwarming and wonderful, and I adored it. And I think I can count it for my year-long romance, I don't know what it's called. I don't know, romance challenge where there's like 50 prompts, and it's to like read a book from each of these like subcategories in the romance thing, and I think I can count this one as a bodice ripper. It's not like totally a bodice ripper, but it is a little. So I'm gonna count it. I think it's as close as I'm gonna get to ever actually finishing a bodice ripper, because I hate them so much. Anyway, now that I've finished that, it's 11:30, and I'm going to kill the fridge. And then after that, I'm going to listen to, I just barely started, I'm like 2 minutes in, to The Ghost in the Big Brass Bed, and this is by Bruce Coville. This is the third book in the Nina 1011 series. I loved this series as a kid, freaking adored it. I'm using this for a book that is the last in a series for Defense Against the Dark Arts. That's my A in Defense Against the Dark Arts, so I'm trying to work on my A's, y'all, so that everything will start counting. But it's very short. It's only 5 hours long. I'm not listening to it 2 times speed. I'm gonna listen to it a little slower because I love this series. I recently reread books 1 and book 2 back in June, and I adored them just as much as I did when I was a kid. Probably even more, because they're so funny and so clever, and the characters are wonderful, and I think it handles subjects really well, and I like it so much. I was completely in love with them when I was growing up, and originally I had this as a book that you think will leave a mark, but I rearranged it because I had to get off. Because I had to remove a book that was the last in a series, like a different one, and I was like, this is the only other book that's the last in a series. Although I wish it wasn't. I wish there were more, but this book is about Nina can see ghosts, and this is about her like third adventure seeing ghosts, and basically this one has to do with a little girl that died at the end of like World War I from the influenza, and then it's also like about that little girl. The little girl is the ghost in the bed. She died in bed because she was sick. And then there's also a thing about like a painter who like died because of like wounds from the war, I believe, and like all this stuff. I'm just like going off of what I remember, but I remember reading this and it like just left such an impression on me. I hadn't read a lot of stuff regarding World War I, and I didn't know much about it, and I didn't know about the stuff that had happened during that time period when I read it when I was like 10 or whatever. So I loved it enough that I literally went and like read up on the war and the influenza and all this stuff, and like that's how much it meant to me as a kid, and that I was like, it made me want to like research and learn and all this stuff, and I'm so excited to reread it. This is probably one of the most excited books I've been like for the whole month. I cannot wait, and I'm 100% certain that I'm going to love it because I pretty much gave books 1 and book 2 exactly the same ratings as I did when I was younger. I loved book 1, and then book 2 I ended up giving 4 stars. I still really, really liked it, but I didn't love it quite as much. I think this is my favorite out of all of them, though, so cannot wait. I'm excited to take a wonderful trip down memory lane. Alright, so it's kind of late now. It is 5 p.m. Chris told me probably 2 hours ago that he was only halfway through his work, so he might not be home forever. Hopefully not too much later past 7, but I have no idea. But from what I'm wearing, you might be able to tell that I just finished filming my little, like, fashion show thing, and I had so much fun with it. Putting together the outfits, and then, like, filming it, whatever, it was fine. I felt kind of weird, but putting together the outfits was so much fun, and I now have some really cute outfits put together. My personal favorite, I don't know, is probably the one with, like, the mustard yellow shirt. As you can tell, I bought a lot of the same shirt because I really, really like it. It's so comfortable and just works really well with, like, skirts, and I've been wearing a lot of skirts recently, mostly because none of my pants fit. The pair of pants that I tried on is like the only pair of pants that I own right now that fit. I have a pair of jean shorts that fit and that pair of pants, so I've been wearing a lot of skirts and I wanted more tops to kind of go along with that, but it was a lot of fun. I felt, like, so creative putting them together, and it just, yeah, it got those, like, juices flowing. So while doing it, I also, like, pulled out a ton of my jewelry to, like, pair it, and I feel like I really need to organize that because it's completely unorganized and such a mess. So I showed you, I think in the first vlog, like, me cleaning up my, like, vanity area, and I said that there were just, like, piles of stuff underneath there that I still needed to go through. It's mostly, like, hair supplies and jewelry, so since I already have so much of it, like, pulled out, I think I'm gonna at least somewhat organize it tonight. But anyway, what I've been doing for the past 5 hours is I did quite a bit. So first off, I did start the Ghost in the Big Brass Bed. I think I'm about 3.5 hours through it. Scribd doesn't tell you how far you are through books, and it's really stupid that they don't. They just give you, like, a general 1 hour to go, but does that mean, like, 1 hour and 29 minutes or 1 hour or less than an hour? Like, it doesn't let you know. So I think I have about an hour and a half left, guessing from the amount of chapters and stuff. But then I also listened to the entirety of Firefighter Dragon. This is by Zoe Chant, and I was reading this for the Ripped Bodice Summer Book Bingo challenge to read a book about firefighters. The original book that I picked out for this challenge, I started like a week ago or so and just really wasn't feeling. So I decided to pick up something else, and this was one of the first ones that popped up in recommendations, and I was like, how can I not? It was only 4 hours long, and it was really fun, actually. For what it was quite enjoyable. It had like the fated mate trope, which I'm not a fan of. And a lot of the things in this book, it really made me like roll my eyes, but it was still like enjoyable and funny and just like silly, and it didn't feel like a slog to read it. I was actually enjoying it. So I mean, the ending's pretty dumb, and the fated mate thing is pretty dumb, but I still liked it. So 3 stars for this one, and I think I'll continue on with the series because some of the other characters. So this is the Fire and Rescue Shifters series, and the second one is Firefighter Pegasus, Firefighter Griffin, and Firefighter Sea Dragon. And you meet all those characters in this first book, so I'm like, sure, I want to learn their stories. And I don't know if she's published it yet or if it's just not on audio or whatever, but I think there's like a Firefighter Phoenix as well, and you meet quite a few characters, and they were fun. I liked them, so this was the first one, and I liked it. So with that being said, I'm gonna continue listening to The Ghost in the Big Brass Bed, try to finish that up before Christopher gets home, which shouldn't be a problem, unfortunately, and maybe clean the house as well, because I tore it apart a little bit while like trying to get an area to film. It's kind of a mess over there now, so whoops. Christopher got home, and it's not even 7:20. He got home like right after 7. I told them that you might be there past 8.
Yeah.
He's just awesome.
It went a little bit quicker at the end than I thought it would. So I got home like around the time that I thought I'd be leaving, which was nice. Getting home maybe a half hour earlier than I thought I would, which was really great. So
and he brought me.
It's a really long day though.
He brought me something really sweet too, though. He got me flowers because he's so nice. I would say they're for my birthday, but honestly, he does this pretty often. But I guess they are for my birthday. He's so sweet. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And the vlog just went up like a few hours ago. Like it went up this morning.
The second one?
Yeah, vlog number 2. And literally all the comments so far are just like, oh, I love Chris. Chris is so great. Blah, blah, blah. Chris, Chris, Chris. And I'm like, I know. He's so wonderful, and everyone's like, thought your editing was so great, and I was like, wow, these vlogs are amazing. Your editing is amazing.
Yeah.
So, instead of finishing my book, I instead ended up watching To All the Boys I've Loved Before by, the book is by Jenny Han. I ended up watching the movie that just came out on Netflix, like, a couple days ago or today or something. It like just came out, and I read the book like over 4 years ago, like literally right when it was released, and I really enjoyed it when I read it. I didn't like book 2 like at all, but I really did like book 1, and so I watched the movie and it was fine. I don't know, I didn't have high expectations at all. So I guess like it beat my expectations. It actually followed like the plot of the book really well. I just didn't think the acting was good at all, and I didn't think that like the editing was that great. But it was fine, and I just spent like an hour and a half of my life doing that. So that's an hour and a half that I'll never get back. But it was, I mean, if I had to give it like a star rating, I guess I would give it like a positive, like a 6 out of 10. I guess you're supposed to like rate movies out of 10. So I guess that's what I'd give it, is like a 6 out of 10, like on the positive side. It was very cheesy. And the acting was a little cringy, but it was fine. I don't know. Anyway, but that means I didn't end up finishing my book. Whoops. So I'm going to try to do that right now, and then eat dinner with Christopher, and then I really need to clean the house. It's still trashed. I literally did nothing. After I vlogged last, I just like turned on To All the Boys I Loved Before and just laid on the couch for 2 hours. So as you can see, I finished The Ghost in the Big Brass Bed by Bruce Colville, and surprise, surprise, I loved it. There are a few things. It was written like early 90s, and there are several characters in the book who deal with mental illness, and they call them like nuts and say not the best things about them. Like, they're not trying to be mean, but they just don't have like the terminology, I guess, or whatever, to like talk about it appropriately. So that would be like the only thing that I'd say. I was just like, ooh, that's like kind of cringy, but it's like a novel of its time, and there's only like so much you can do about that. But they weren't ever like mean to the people who did deal with like the mental illness and who did deal with like all this trauma that the war brought. They were like never mean about it. They just were very like wary and kind of like talked about it very lightheartedly and called them like nuts. But I really enjoyed it, and I was right. Like, I had forgotten a lot of the stuff that they ended up talking about, and it's just like, I feel like it's such a heavy like subject matter for, I guess, like the age range that it's targeted towards, but then at the same time it's like, kids need to know these things. Like, we need to teach them the history. It is very dark though, and it definitely is the darkest out of all of the books in the series. The second one deals a lot with like the Civil War, but this one I would say is even darker because it's like talking about these people who are just like so devastatingly like crushed by World War I, and it's like you didn't really see like the personalness of the one about the Civil War as much. Like, it wasn't quite as personal, where this one was so personal that like it felt much darker because you were like in like the characters' heads, and like it was kind of intense. Like, there were like letters and stuff written from people, and it was really good. I loved it, and they're so funny, and her dad is one of my favorite characters. He's so great, and I don't know, I just really, really, really enjoyed reading it, so glad I read that. And so with that, I actually, finishing those two books, that and The Firefighter Dragon, I just got 3 more NEWTs. So for Arithmancy, since I ended up filling up the book with that ends on an even number page, I also finally got my Not the First in a Series, which at the end of the readathon, in case you've missed my first few vlogs or whatever, there's 2 books that I've marked off on here as read that I DNF'd because I got past the halfway mark, and I just decided I'll cross them off, and if I have the time to go back at the end of the month before the readathon ends and like read extra books for that, I will. But for now, I'm not gonna just like take all that time that I invested into it and like force myself to finish a book that I really and truly hating. It's not worth it for me, but I also don't want to like fail. So that's what I've done. So technically the O for Arithmancy is one of the books that I DNF'd, so we'll see how it is at the end of the month if I read another book for that. But for Defense Against the Dark Arts, I got the first one, which is to finish a series. The Nina 1011 was like a reread for me, but I did want to reread the whole series, so this was like a perfect way to tie it off. I did just make a huge change in my, well, not a huge change. I swapped out a couple books in my TBR because I was trying to listen to Siren what is it? Siren's Secret by Debbie Herbert. This was gonna count for my book with like the word dark in the title or the series title. And I don't remember what the series was called, but it had the word dark in it. And I was gonna reuse that for that. And then I'm also using this for my Ripped Bodice book bingo of a book with mermaids in it. Or a book about mermaids. Oh my gosh. So I tried to listen to this and I got 3 minutes in and DNF'd. I don't know. I may try it again, not on audio, but this narrator, I'll play a little portion for you because it drove me up a freaking wall.
Screaming vibrations rippling through the sea. She'd heard the boat above her on the ocean surface and watched as the long cylindrical object sank like a torpedo not 20 yards away. She should have left at once, but she had suspected the foreign object was human and hoped the human might still be alive. So Shelley had watched and waited at first. Through the dark ripples, the full moon illuminated a man peering over the side of an old John boat. She couldn't move.
I don't know how well you could hear that over the freaking Fritch screaming, but she takes in such loud gasps of air between almost every sentence. She's like, blah, 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 blah. Da, 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 da. And I'm like, no. Like, either get a different narrator who doesn't make obnoxious sounds, or get a good editor to edit out all her obnoxious sounds. And I can't listen to it. I can't do it. I tried. So this was counting for 2 different things. I really want to get the Ripped Bodice one for sure. So I've had to switch out 2 different books on my TBR so I can get a book with the word dark in it, and so that I can get a book with mermaids. So as far as mermaids go, I decided that I would finally read, oh, I don't even have it out here. There it is, I found it. So I want to read Of Poseidon by Anna Banks. I don't know. I feel like I'm not going to like it, but it is a book on my TBR about mermaids, and I believe it is a romance. I may change my mind on this one and like try to find another book about mermaids. I don't know. I'll have to see how I'm feeling. I may have to do a little bit of research and see if I can find another romance about mermaids. We'll see though. But for now, this is tentatively my book with magic in it. And then for the dark, I've decided to do I think it's the Dark is Rising series. I own a physical copy of this book too, so I need to go grab it off of my King Arthur retelling shelf. So here's my little box set. I haven't read any of them yet, but I got it from the book barn for $5. For $5, and it was such a good find. And I never took the sticker off. So this is the Dark is Rising sequence, and I wanted to get through the first book, which is unfortunately one of the longest in the series. It's not that very long though. The Dark is Rising. This is by, oh my gosh, I threw it. Susan Cooper. And it obviously has dark in the title and in the series, and this one is just over 200 pages. I think it's like a 7 or an 8 hour audiobook, so it is quite long for like its size, but oh well. If only I'd started the series already, I could read like the short one or something. But that's fine. So I've decided to put that book in instead. So it's not like a huge deal, but I'm kind of annoyed that the narrator for that mermaid book is so obnoxious. But I don't know. I don't think I'm in the mood for this book. I really don't. So I think I'm going to go on a little hunt right now and see if I can find another romance book about mermaids on anywhere. And if not, then I'll read this one. So that's how it's going so far. And the other thing is, I did start Cinder. I am a whole 20 minutes into it. Super impressive, I know. I'm reading this for a book set in the future for divination, and I mean, I'm liking it so far. Everything that I'm reading right now I have read before. I like physically started it like 3-4 years ago, like a long time ago. And I remember everything that I've read so far. I read like the first chapter or 2, and I'm still on chapter 1 right now. So like I remember everything, but we'll see how I actually go this time. I mean, I'm pretty sure I'll like it, but fingers crossed. And then the other thing is I've continued on in Spinning Silver. I'm a little bit past like the 8 hour mark right now, and I am loving this book so much. You guys don't understand my love for this book. I was just raving to Christopher about like how great it is. It is so feminist, like the historical accuracy that she like weaves into it, and like the gorgeousness of her writing and the characters and everything, and like the folk tales that are woven in and the magic and everything. It's just like so beautiful and haunting, and the narrator is excellent. If you want to listen to this book, if you have any interest in listening to this book, please do it. The narrator is so good, and it's narrating 3 different female characters and alternating perspectives, and like you can tell which character it is by how she's narrating it, like without giving any of them like super obnoxious voices. She's able to like make them very distinct, and like, oh my gosh, I'm really enjoying it. Like at this point I will be shocked if I don't give this book 5 stars. That's how much I am loving it. So I'm almost to the halfway mark of that, and I anticipate going through it quite quickly over the next few days. It's so good. I just listened to 5 hours of it straight while like organizing my necklaces and my jewelry and stuff like I said I was gonna do, and it's coming along all right. I just need to figure out where I want to put certain stuff. But the organization part, most of it is done, which is good. And I just like listened to it, and I was like totally entranced the whole time. So I feel like I've made really good progress for the day. It is, I don't know if I ever mentioned, it's 11 p.m. now. I'm getting quite tired because I've been up for a long time. So I'm gonna go wash my face, get ready for bed, and then listen to something while falling asleep. And probably search for mermaid books right now, because I'm just so not in the mood for that book. But if I have to read it, I'll suck it up, and I will. Alright, so it is Saturday morning now. It's 10 a.m. and we just got something really exciting in the mail. So I'm gonna stab it with a knife, or Chris is gonna stab it with a knife. Here, stab it with a knife.
Don't mind this. Just I'll put that there so our dress isn't displayed openly. But
oh my gosh, I'm so excited. I've been waiting for this day for how many? 3 years?
Wow.
For 3 years almost.
You're nuts. It's really not that exciting, but
it's so exciting.
It is. Oh wow.
Yes.
So we got a new knife set.
My.
A new kitchen knife set with the wood block and scissors and a sharpener and stuff.
It's beautiful. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I hate art knives right now. They are garbage.
So we actually got a Crate and Barrel gift card for our wedding. We have several gift cards that we got for our wedding. We've used most of them, but we still have several left that we haven't used, and we just never used the Crate and Barrel one because everything at Crate and Barrel is so expensive. The Crate and Barrel gift card paid for half of these. So we still have to pay for half of it, but oh, that's
worth it.
That's definitely worth it, and it's heavy. But
yeah, and it smells really good. It's like freshly cut, and you can like smell.
A lot better quality than our old one. So
I'm so excited. Look at them! Look at them!
I like this.
Oh my gosh! We are actually gonna be able to cut stuff now. I'm so excited to use these. These are garbage. There's literally one knife out of this set that we use. And like that's it.
Well, we use the steak knives.
Occasionally.
Which this is.
But we don't use any of the knives because they're so dull.
Oh. Yeah, I only really use one of them and then just rewash that one when I need to use a knife. But hopefully all of these are usable.
I can't. Yeah. I'm dead.
Oh, they put like a little thing on the tip. I have no idea where each of them goes, but we'll find that out.
We'll figure it out.
This one probably goes right here.
Yay. Happy wedding to us.
Happy 2-year wedding anniversary.
With our wedding gift cards. Oh, jeez. So this piece of junk can go die. It served us well-ish. And here's the new one. Oh.
It's bigger. There's more knives and more versatility and They're a lot nicer.
I'm in love.
You can just feel the quality is a lot better than the other one.
Well, yeah, the other ones were like 20 bucks at Target. I'm excited to cut with them. I've been waiting for this. This set, we pretty much only use the steak knives, and one of them I just used to cut the other thing open, and this is the only knife that we ever use.
Yeah.
And it's always dirty. It's the only one we use, and we use it for everything, and I'm excited for a selection.
Yeah.
I know y'all really wanted to see our dirty dishes today.
There's not that many.
You're welcome.
I did them. I did most of them.
But yeah, seriously, I don't know. Our old knives, we got like right when we moved in together 3 years ago, and like they
were okay. I mean, my parents bought them for us.
Yeah.
My parents paid for them for us.
They just like they were a fine like starter set, I think, for most people, but I have always cooked a lot, and so getting them, I always felt kind of like very hindered by them because I was used to cooking all the time and cutting all the time and stuff.
Cooking all the time, and I'm really glad we have new knives.
Yeah, so like I was always like used to having like a big selection, so when getting those I felt very like hampered all the time, but so I was like always waiting to get a new set, and I feel like we were finally in the place that we could do it, and I'm glad we saved the gift card for now, because then we were actually able to like splurge a bit, get some like pay the extra whatever, and get something that we're gonna love, and these are gonna like be good for a really long time. I'm so happy. And this is what it looks like when I do my makeup. It's a bit of a mess. But it is now 1 a.m. and I'm gonna be leaving for work in like half an hour-ish. But I've made really good progress on spinning silver so far today. I've listened to I think about an hour of Cinder this morning. I think I've like reached the hour mark maybe, but then for spinning silver I am 13 and a half hours through. Oh my gosh, I think this is going to be like in my top 5 favorite books of the year. I love it so much. It is everything a good fairy tale retelling could be. It just like takes the skeletons and the bones of the original story and makes it a million times better and stronger and everything than it was before, and I freaking love it so much. So I'm probably going to finish this today because I literally can't put it down. I only have 4.5 hours left, so I should be able to finish that after I get home from work. But being at work is going to be hard because I'm going to want to do nothing but listen to this book, and obviously I can't. So that is going to be frustrating, but I'll live through. I was also thinking about what to do for my mermaid book, and I'm not going to be on register today because I'm just not supposed to be, but maybe sometime over the next week I'm going to try to start this physically at work and see if it catches my interest. The Silky Bride by Melanie Jackson. I know it's not a mermaid, but I figured close enough-ish, so I will try to read this, but I can't start it. I mean, I could start it today, but there's not a freaking chance that I'm doing anything but listening to Spinning Silver until it's done. So I'll try to start this sometime next week when I actually am going to be on register and have like a little bit of time to read. Sometimes I don't have any time to read on register because I'm like stickering or doing projects or whatever up there, but occasionally I can read for a bit. So anyway, I'm going to keep listening to Spinning Silver. Christopher made jalapeno poppers again. They look so good, so we're going to eat that. So I have no lipstick yet, and I just realized I forgot to do blush or highlighter, so I need to do that so I don't look like a corpse. Although I kind of like looking at like a corpse, so maybe I should just leave it. And yeah, I'm like astounded at how much I love it. I am so in love with this book right now. Alright, so I just got back from work. It is almost 10 o'clock. It's 9:49. I just walked in the door. I had to stay a little late, which is fine. And I have 2 hours left of Spinning Silver, If I don't finish it now, I'll die. So I'm going to listen to this and I'll update you after. Okay, so it is now 10:36. I did turn it up a little bit higher than 2 times speed, which is what I was listening to it on most of the time, because I couldn't, so I had to speed it up a little bit more. I loved it so much. Also, if you hear the chirping, I think there's another cricket in our house. But it was seriously phenomenal. I wish there was one more chapter wrapping up one more storyline. That's like literally my like one quip with this book is like, give me one more chapter from one of my favorite characters' point of view. Actually, maybe my favorite character's point of view. Okay, I have one other small quip with the book. It's a multiple POV book, but it doesn't like specify who the POV is changing to. So it just like sticks a little break and then it goes on to the next person, and on the audiobook especially it was kind of confusing at the beginning, but the narrator is so good that she actually made it really easy to catch on, plus like what they're talking about and who's around them. But it was very startling, so I was confused for like the first little bit when the point of view started changing, and then like eventually I got used to it. But the more and more characters that they add in, it got a little confusing. So those are like my 2 quips with the book, and then everything else about it is perfect. I loved it. I'm gonna kill the fridge. And oh my gosh, maybe my favorite book I've read this year. So good. This is like, if you're sick of like the fairy tale retelling trope or whatever, I don't know, I wouldn't really call it a trope, but if you're sick of fairy tale retellings, please try this book, because it is what a good fairy tale retelling is, where it just like takes the bones of the story and builds upon it 100-fold. And oh my gosh, I loved it so much. It's like so feminist and amazing, and all the characters were incredible, and it's like, oh my gosh, I even like loved the characters I hated, like even like the quote-unquote bad guys and stuff. I loved them, and I just, oh my gosh, like it makes me want to go reread Uprooted, because like maybe I'll love it more this time, although I'm sure I won't love it as much as this one. But like, I want to go read her Tamir novels. I want to read like everything by her, because this was brilliant, and oh my gosh, it was so good. It was so good. I'm completely in love with it and obsessed with it, and I'm gonna text my sister and tell her to read it, even though she's not a huge fan of fantasy, because who knows, maybe she'll love it, but I know she likes historical fiction, so I'm gonna make her read it. And I don't know, I recommend it so much. Please read it. If you are inclined to listen to it, please listen to it. The narrator is phenomenal, and just be aware of the shifting point of view and you'll be fine. Once I like caught on to what it was, and I was like, okay, and it just like took me a little bit to like figure out who the person was, and then it was fine. But it was incredible. There's like one other thing, like one tiny little plot point that like I didn't totally understand, but maybe they explained it and I missed it, so I'm going to when I reread this in the future. But I loved it, and I mean, you guys saw, I listened to it like completely in like 2 days almost. Like I started it, I listened to like the first 3 hours like a week ago, and then yesterday and today I just like devoured the whole thing, and like I really loved it so much. Please read it. So I feel great. Plus, this is the longest book on my TBR for this month. It was 18 hours long. But with this being finished, I've completed every long book on my TBR, and I think every other book is like under 12 or even 10 and under. So it's gonna be super easy. And I think I have the number of books I have left, I think, is the number of days left in the month. And some of the books are really short, so I'm feeling totally great for the readathon at this point, and I think it's going to be super easy, so I'm going to have to choose another book to start reading. And yeah, I'm so happy. I just found a new favorite book of all time. I don't know. It's hard to say, like, I love this more than X and X fairy tale retellings, but I think it's in my top. I need to reread my other favorite fairy tale retellings, but I think it's in my top 3. It may be higher than that. I really, really, really adored this. I'm so happy. Okay, so it is, late. It's like 1 a.m. I don't know why I'm still awake. I don't know. I needed to take a shower. I hadn't washed my hair in like a while. So that needed to happen, and so I stayed up to do that, but it took me a long time to like get in the shower because I really didn't feel like taking one. So like I was just like sitting there like hyping myself up. And yeah, anyway, I just filled in my thing, and I got 3 more NEWTs from that, which is awesome because I already had my E and my O for potions, so all I needed was my A, which puts me at 20 so far, and today's the 18th, and then I also have 1, 2, is that it? Just 3. I have 3 that I've read that don't count, that because I haven't gotten like the first books yet. So I feel like I'm doing good, and I'm feeling good, and I'm excited for what I pick up next. As of right now, I'm thinking that I'm going to start The Gentleman's Guide to Vice and Virtue by Mackenzie Lee next, and also Our Tempestuous Day by Carol Lee Erickson, which I meant to start as well like a few days ago and was like so obsessed with Spinning Silver that I didn't. So I think I'm going to try to start both of those tomorrow and potentially finish Cinder tomorrow, but I am going to be gone from the house for like probably like 4 or 5 hours tomorrow, so I can't read for like any of that time except for while driving. I'm not sure how much I'll actually get to. Wow, I'm sorry, I'm really tired. My brain's like turned off. So we'll see, but hopefully with still like over a week left of the readathon, I'll be able to get the rest of my books. I have 13 books to finish, and I think I have plenty of time. So anyway, I'm gonna go to bed now. I'm gonna get some sleep, and then try to read as much as I can tomorrow before I'm gone. I've been absolutely horrible at updating today, so let me explain what's going on. So it's Sunday now, it's the 19th, and it is 1:30 in the afternoon. I'm gonna get ready right now. I don't have to leave until like, I think 4:30 or 5-ish, so, but I would like to get ready now just so I'm prepared. But basically this morning, I tried to start reading The Gentleman's Guide to Vice and Virtue by Mackenzie Lee, and this I really didn't like. I only got like 10 minutes in, and I just don't care for the characters, like especially the guy whose like perspective it's from. He's very obnoxious, and I didn't care for like a lot of the things he was like saying and doing, so I don't know, I already didn't feel like reading it. So this just like solidified that and made me feel validated that I felt like I wouldn't enjoy this book. I tried to read it and I didn't enjoy it, and I couldn't make myself stay in his head anymore because I didn't like being there. So it's for the new of like a book over 400 pages, I believe, but I could switch several more books into that position because I read quite a few books over 400 pages, so it's not that I'm worried about. It was just, I needed to find one for the Ripped Bodice book bingo of a historical queer book. And I was like, oh shoot, I don't know what to do. Because there are like a couple on my TBR, but they're not ones that like I'm super inclined to read right now. And then I was like looking up books online and I was like, oh, I could read Lair of Dreams by Libba Bray. It's like technically not a romance, but there are some romantic subplots in this. And 2 or 3 of them are queer, I think. So I was like, okay, let's just go with this. So I am. When I started this, I was this far through where the bookmark is because I started this like over a year ago, I think. Maybe 2 years ago. I started this a while ago and then just wasn't in the mood and put it down. I think it might have been in 2016. Ugh. So I started at that point because I remembered everything that happened and I've read that much today so far. So that's where I am and I can change the marker now and I'm just going to count it even though I started partway in because it's like over 600 pages. So if I still read like, I don't know, I'm still going to be reading over 300 pages of it and I don't know, I'm just going to count it, okay? Okay, so I'm going to read Lair of Dreams for that instead, which makes me feel better because I was just dreading reading The Gentleman's Guide to Vice and Virtue. Some of the things people said about it made me like very wary of it. It was like getting so much hype for so long and then I started hearing like pretty negative reviews. Plus I already read a lot of historical fiction and I don't really love young adult literature very much anymore. So combining those two things I was very wary of because I do read a lot of like really good historical fiction romance. So I don't know. Anyway, I'm just going to take it back off my TBR. The only reason I was going to read it at all ever was literally for this challenge because I was like, so many people have hyped it up, but I can't do it. I can't do it. So that's what I've decided to do there. So I've listened to I think a couple hours of Lair of Dreams so far today. And I also started the Selkie. So I was going to read the Selkie Bride because Goodreads says that it's the first book in the series, but then I looked up publication dates and this one was published like 7 years before. So instead I'm going to read the Selkie instead of the Selkie Bride, and I'm only like 25 pages into it. Yeah, I'm on page 25. So hopefully I can get a little bit further in this. And this will be like what I'll be reading on Register this week if I can, and I'll try to read a bit more today. I'd like to get to like page 50 today, at least. That would be nice. And so yeah, those are all my updates. I need to figure out how much I've listened to of Lair of Dreams, and I need to figure out a lot of stuff, but my brain has kind of been dead today. I didn't get a lot of sleep last night, and I couldn't fall back asleep, so I'm running on like a low steam right now. What you gonna do? So I'm out here annoying Chris. And people are talking really loudly outside. What are you doing?
Reading?
Reading the Historical Atlas of New York, a visual celebration of 400 years of New York City's history. Fascinating. I just got back like maybe, what do you think? Like
half hour ago,
40 minutes ago? Yeah, I didn't film at all when I was there because I didn't want to like force people, like only one of the people I was with like even knew that I do vlogs. I didn't want to like force them to be like, here, be on my vlog. So I just like got a little glimpse of like the food. So basically my friend and I went and got sushi together. She was out of town for like almost a week, and so we just wanted to catch up, and she was in New York, so she was like telling me about the stuff that she did, and yeah, it was just fun to catch up. And then after that we went to another restaurant, a Mexican restaurant, and met up with 2 other friends who are going to be going out of town soon. They're both like going back to college, and one of them leaves on Friday, and then the other one leaves in like a month. And one of them's doing like a study abroad. So basically we're not going to see them till Christmas time or maybe later. I didn't get anything at the second restaurant, and my friend got just like coffee and ice cream, and then the other 2 people ate, and it was, I don't know, it was fun, it was enjoyable, and it was nice just like catching up and talking and spending some time like not at work. They're all people that I work with, and it was fun doing that. And then I also stopped at Walmart because I really needed some hangers because I wasn't quite able to finish hanging up my clothes, but now I can, so that's good. And then I also, because I'm trash, basically all like the back to school stuff is out right now, and I got very tempted by the pens, but I also bought like a journal. It's another like dot grid journal, and it's a little bit like slimmer than the ones that I have, like it's thinner this way, and it was pretty cheap, and it's mustard yellow, which is one of my favorite colors ever, so I had to get it. But then I also bought a ton of pens. I bought some like colored pens. I think I'm going to take these to work because having colored pens when doing inventories is really nice. But then my pens that I use in my journals are like running out of ink and getting scratchy and stuff, so I bought some like replacements of them. I use the Uniball Signo pens, and I use both like the 7.7 and the 0.5 millimeter ones, and so I rebought replacements of those. But then I also bought this one because I thought it would be interesting to just like try a different kind that's not like a gel pen. And this is a Precise Premium Rolling Ball from V5. That's a 0.5, and I also got the 0.7 of those, so I can play around a bit more and see what I like, because I mean, I don't buy pens for my journals very often, so it'll be nice to like try something new. But I'm like a little over halfway through Cinder now, and I'm liking it, which I mean, it's not that I didn't think I wouldn't, it's not that I didn't think I wouldn't like it, but I was also like, have been putting off reading this book for like 5 years. I think I added it to my TBR in September of 2013. Like, that is ridiculous. I've been putting it off for so long, and I was like really worried I wouldn't enjoy it, but I am enjoying it, and I don't think I'm gonna love it like quite as much as everyone else, but it was probably gonna get like a 4-star, maybe between a 3 or a 4-star. It's good. I like it, but I really didn't get much reading done at all today, and I'm gonna go live stream now, so I'm gonna continue to not get reading done, and it'll be a fun time. So I'm gonna do that, and maybe hopefully tonight before I go to bed I can read like a little bit more of the Selkie. That's the plan. Let's see how it goes. And I did, minus the sweater, I did end up wearing my, I call this a series of unfortunate events look, because it has like eyeballs on it. I love this shirt. It's wonderful. And then I like did my hair in this like little thing, which I sort of think looks a little snake-ish, like all curled up and then coming out or whatever, which makes me think of the reptile room. I kind of took like inspo for that, and I had like giant gold dangly earrings on as well, which was fun, that are like longer than my hair. And I just had a good time with my outfit today, and it was like all inspired from that lookbook I did. And the outfit that I plan on wearing tomorrow is also from the lookbook. I should do these like on my day off more often, just like put together like a slew of outfits, because the outfit that I wore yesterday was also from my lookbook. So it just like gives me like inspiration, and then I want to wear them all. Maybe this will become like a weekly thing where I'll have to like lay out some outfits and then just like wear them all immediately. Alright, so it is now midnight. I'm really tired. I need to wash my face and go to sleep. I was getting really like slap happy at the end of my vlog. My live stream. Oh my gosh. Anyway, I never updated you on something before though, and I want to do it really quickly before I fall asleep in case I forget. Before I left, I was rearranging a ton of stuff on my TBR, just like mentally, and I decided that instead of reading Our Tempestuous Day by Carol Lee Erickson, I think is her name. I may be totally making that up. Instead of reading that, which I was going to read for a book that I think would fit in at the Hogwarts library, I started reading it, and I just realized I'm not in the mood to read about, like, the Regency right now. I just don't feel like I'm getting out of the book what I could be. It's like a nonfiction about the Regency era. I really do want to read it, but it's just not for me at this moment. I just found myself like kind of zoning out and like not totally interested. I feel like if I had persevered, maybe I could have gotten a little bit more into it, but as it was, I didn't want to like not enjoy it as much as I potentially could. So instead I was like, well, what should I read instead? So I like went through like a ton of options, and I was thinking and thinking and thinking and thinking. I didn't want to add anything crazy long to my TBR at this point. Like, just in case like something happened. I didn't want to stress myself out. Although at this point, I just like recalculated my TBR and I totally could add something really long, and who knows, maybe I still will. I'll have to think about it tomorrow. Because I don't know, like the other main thing that I was thinking of reading, I was like, oh, I could read like witch nonfiction, like say like Salem Trials or something like that. But at the same time, I'm not really in the mood to read about stupid people killing women, because I feel like it will make me really, really mad. And I don't want to be mad right now and heartbroken and depressed and sad. So I've decided not to read that right now. So my two options are now for that challenge, either The Princess and the Goblin by George MacDonald. Is that his name? George MacDonald. And this is the first fantasy novel ever written. Like first, there's some dispute on that, but this is like widely acknowledged as the first fantasy novel. It's pretty short, it's a kid's book, and I've read it before, but I really hated it. So I want to read it again and see if I enjoy it better this time. I read it like 12 or 13 years ago. My dad read it to me, and it's actually the last book he ever read to me on like reading a book to me every night, like getting through a whole long story together or whatever. This is the last one we ever read together because we both hated it. This book ruined my reading relationship with my dad. Thanks, George. But the other book that I want to read is another reread, and that is The Sword and the Stone by T.H. White, the first book in the Once and Future Keen set thing, whatever. It's like a quartet, I guess. It usually comes bounded up in one, but the Once and Future Keen, I think, is about like a third of the book almost. And I have read the whole thing before, but I really, 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 really hated parts 2, 3, and 4. Books 2, 3, and 4. Especially books 2 and 3. I detested. I read these probably like 7 years ago, but I really want to reread The Sword and the Stone though, because I really enjoyed it when I read it. So I think I'm leaning more towards this, but they're both like viable options. So I changed that around, and I think that's about it. As far as like updates for the day, I did not get any further in the Selkie. I'll take it to work with me. I should be on register probably only for a couple hours. I think like 1 to 3 is when I'll be on register tomorrow. So I'll read this while I'm up there if I can and see how that goes. But I just, on my live stream, instead of like doing a weekly wrap-up, I did like an organization, because I haven't like touched any of my spreadsheets in a few days and they were getting very messy, and I changed like so many things in them like mentally that I needed to like change stuff. And I realized that I only have like 60 hours more of audiobooks to go, and I have like 11 or 12 days left of the readathon. So I'm really, really ahead, and I know some of those is because I've DNF'd and switched things out and etc, 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 and switched shorter books in and all this stuff, but the point is that I now only have 50 hours left, where like originally when I started the NEWTs Readathon, I had, I think, around 250 or more hours on my to read. Now I only have 50 left, and I have like a third of the readathon left at this point. So I'm insanely ahead. All I need to do is just focus on my physical books more. So if my neck is good to me this week, that should be no issue. I should be able to wrap these up easy peasy. And if I decide I don't love reading this, then I can always listen to a Poseidon. So either of those will work. And then I just have like a couple more physical books to read. Like, I was going to read another volume of Yotsuba. And that's pretty much it. And I think I'm already halfway done with that volume of Yotsuba as well. So it'd take me like half an hour. And I don't know, I'm just like really close to finishing. I think I could finish all my readathon books on like the 26th. Potentially. Crazy stuff. And then I think at this point, since I am so far ahead, I think I am going to go back. So I did DNF 2 books for the readathon. and I got over halfway through, so I just marked them as counting and moved on, and then I figured if I had time I'd come back and fix them and like read a book and like actually complete it for that. So they're really easy ones. One of them is to read a book that's not the first in a series, which I have like over 100 ongoing series, so that is a piece of cake for me. And then the other one is to read a book set in the past, which I read so much historical fiction that that's also a piece of cake for me. So I pretty much set at this point, which I'm feeling so pleased with myself about. I've been like working really hard and like really like pushing myself. I mean, I enjoy it. I love reading, obviously, and this is kind of what I do anyway, just like slightly less intensive. But I have been pushing myself to like go the extra mile, and it's really paid off. And I'm very proud of myself. Like, I feel super content with where I am at the readathon, and even if I take like 3 days and don't read at all, like, it won't even matter. I'm so far ahead. Not that I'm gonna do that though, because I am enjoying the books that I'm reading. So yeah, I think that's it. Wash my face, go to bed, and work again tomorrow, and the next day, and the next, and the next. So dinner tonight is fish and Brussels sprouts. What kind of fish is this again?
What kind of fish is it?
Mm-hmm.
It's a cod. I think it's Alaskan cod. I think it's what it's. I'm pretty sure it was Alaskan cod. But
It was Alaskan something.
It was definitely cod, so it was definitely Alaskan cod.
Okay, that's all. Chris chose it, so anyway,
it smells really good.
It smells good. I hope it tastes good because I've never made fish before.
It's just like lemon and salt and pepper.
Yeah.
And then we have Brussels sprouts.
And butter.
And butter, yes, of course.
Try it.
Butter.
Is it good? Try it.
And I found out pretty recently that I like Brussels sprouts, so.
I love Brussels sprouts. You good?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Go ahead.
Well, that's a good tasting fish. I'm glad we got this instead of tilapia. We almost got tilapia, but I don't know, I grew up eating tilapia, and tilapia is fine, especially if you know how to like season it really nicely and make it good, but it's like very bland and it just kind of takes on whatever taste of seasoning you put on it. But this actually has like its own like taste, and it tastes really good.
Nice.
In my opinion.
I'm excited to try it. So it's Monday night. We just had dinner, and I just finished Cinder by Marissa Meyer. This is, what time is it, Chris? 7:15. So it's 7:15 now, and yeah, I just finished this. I only had like a bit left because I listened to a little bit like this morning, and then I listened like after work waiting for Chris. I did like it, but I really didn't like a lot of the stuff that happened at the end. I don't know, if you're trying to make a likable character, for me personally, I don't know if anyone else feels this as well, but if you're trying to make me like a character, it really helps if you don't make them just obliviously stupid. And some of the things that Cinder was doing, there were a few things that she did like throughout the whole book, but then especially at the end, and like that I just got very, very frustrated with. And then also, I guess the other thing would be that like the big like dramatic like reveal at the end, it was just, I don't know. I saw it coming from like a mile off, so I don't know. I was less than impressed with a lot of the things in like the second half of the book, but I still did really enjoy the first half of the book, so I think I'm gonna give it 3 stars because I really liked the first half and really didn't care for like the end. So yeah, I finally read Cinder though, and I didn't think I'd be disappointed, but I kind of am. Like I still did like it, but it's hard to like disconnect the parts that really frustrated me, especially the things that Cinder did and the things that Kai did as well. It's hard for me to disconnect those from like the things that I did enjoy, because I mean it's hard not to have like really high expectations for like the biggest fairy tale retelling ever, you know? I think Ella Enchanted might have like more ratings than this on Goodreads, but like this is like the next highest one, I think. And like, it's not hard not to have, like, the high, like, super high expectations for this, and it was totally meeting all of them until she just started being ridiculously dumb. So that's, like, my only problem with it. I did like it, though. I just, it's, even though I did like it, it's hard not to just feel kind of like sad because I am disappointed. So anyway, that's a thing. I think now I'm going to either listen to something, I'm not sure what I'm in the mood for, or read my book, The Selkie. So I'll do one of those two things. Although I was looking at The Selkie today. I forgot to take it to work with me. I was going to try to read on Register, but then I was doing stuff the whole time I was on Register anyway. It was like really busy, and I was working on a project, so I wouldn't have had time anyway. So but I forgot to bring it, so I was like looking up some stuff about it online when I had a spare minute, and I read like several like really negative reviews. So now I'm like not as excited about reading it, so I don't know. I feel kind of weird and in like a weird reading mood right now, so I don't know if I'm gonna read at all for the rest of the day, honestly. I might just like take a break. So we'll see what ends up happening for the next few hours. Update, I'm on page 34 and he just licked her cheek. Like, literally they exchange like 3 words with each other, and then he like leans over and licks her cheek. And then this dumb American girl, he gives her his name, which is, I'm gonna butcher it because I'm pretty sure it's like, Chris is doing this, pretty sure it's like Gaelic or something, but it's Ruarid Osurig. And he tells her his name, and she says, "Don't you have some normal name?" You guys, I think this might be a DNF. I'll try a little bit more, but so much no. And her name is Hezoid, so she can't really be judging anyone, can she now? Also, this dummy can't tell the difference between sable coat and seal skin. So she's kind of a failure. Like, even if like you don't know like the textures between them, I'm pretty sure it's a very different shape. Wouldn't you say? Wouldn't you say like a tailored coat would look very different than like a seal pelt? I don't know. I'll try like a couple more pages, but I think I'm just gonna give this book away because I'm not liking it at all. So I got about 50 pages in, and I just don't care, don't care at all, and it's kind of dumb, and I just don't think it's worth my time. So I guess I'll try to read Of Poseidon instead, or try to find another mermaid book. We'll see. So it is now 11:30, well 11:20, and I need to go to bed, but I'm not tired, but I should go to sleep because I didn't get a lot of sleep last night. But for some reason my buddy's like, "You're not tired, it's fine, stay up all night messing with your TBR." Anyway, I am now like 450 pages through Lair of Dreams. I have read about 200 pages since I started it a few days ago, and I added the pages from like the end of the book to where I started, and there's 380, so I'm just getting to count it for my 350 page book, and we'll call it good. But I've just, I've been playing with my TBR and getting things like solidifying things. I've made more decisions with it because I've been so flip-floppy on it for the past few days, but I think I have it all set. And I started another book, and I don't know, I'm feeling really good about it right now, but I'm feeling I'm feeling good. I just don't feel like going over everything right now. But one thing that I also did today is I printed out, I have this like marked online, but I printed it out so that I would have a physical copy, and I printed out all the books all the series that I'm currently reading as of August 9th. So there's a freaking huge amount. I haven't even counted how many this is, but there's so many. The highlighted ones are physical books, and then the ones that aren't highlighted are just like ones that I can listen to on audio. There are some more that are physical in here as well, but I just like highlighted like the most recent ones or whatever, because I want to try to focus on sequels and reading off of this list. I would at least, by like the end of September, I would be over the moon if I had read everything. I have series on there that I started in 2014 that I haven't touched since then. I'd like to finish my 2014 books, my 2015 books, and my 2016 books, and then like be caught up and have read everything that I'm currently reading on my series TBR, having read in the past 2 years. That's kind of what I'm like working towards, and then I'd like to get it down to 1 year, and I would like to maybe in the next few months really just try to focus on also like knocking out series, because I've been doing so bad and I've been starting so many series, and it's starting to make me feel kind of anxious. Like, this whole page are all series that I've started this year. This was not supposed to happen. The first 2 are ones that I started in 2017, and the rest of them I started this year. And all of them were like in July, and they were all like children's books. And I need to like work on that, because it's a mess. And some of these, I don't know if I for sure want to like continue on with as well, but I still like wrote them down just in case. Anyway, that's what's going on right now, and my spreadsheet is looking very beautiful, and yeah. So I'm gonna keep on listening to my books, and I'll update you tomorrow. I think I'll finish 1 or 2 books tomorrow, so staying on track is good. Alright, so it is Tuesday night, so it is 6:15 now, and the fridge is yelling again, and I finished a book right after I finished work. Well, not right after I finished work, right after I got in the car with Christopher, I ended up finishing this book. I listened to, this is the book I was talking about last night. It's Her Halloween Treat by Tiffany Reyes. I don't know how to say her name. Anyway, I ended up using this. So basically, for the summer romance book bingo, the BookTube one by Sarah and Sissy. One of them is to read a Harlequin category romance, and I didn't know what to read for this. Initially I was going to read that Siren book, but the narrator was so bad that I couldn't, and that was going to fulfill like several challenges, so I had to, when I took that off, I had to like fit several more books in, and I forgot to put in one for my Harlequin category, and so I was kind of freaking out last night, and I was like, I don't know what to do, I need to find a book for my category, blah 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 blah, and I ended up deciding on this one, because the only other thing, people were telling me to read Heather Graham's series, and I want to, but I'm not in the mood, and I don't want to read it when I'm not in the mood. I think it's a romantic suspense, and I'm really not in the mood for romantic suspense. So instead, I went with this one. It's just a contemporary romance, and it was actually really cute. I liked it a lot. It was very smutty though, so be forewarned. And basically it is about this girl who's been dating this guy for 2 years, and then she ends up finding out that he's married, and so instead of like staying in that city for a few more days, she decides to go early to her brother's wedding in, I think it was in Portland, and she ends up deciding to go a few days early, and so she's there, and she ends up like reconnecting with her brother's best friend, who she hasn't like talked to in like almost a decade, I think. And so yeah, I don't know, I really enjoyed it. It was really funny. The characters had pretty excellent banter, and I was literally laughing out loud at some of like their conversations and things, and it didn't feel very like, it didn't feel forced. Like, a lot of times when books have like funny scenes or funny one-liners or things like that, it feels like you can almost just like feel the author like sitting there for like 2 days trying to think of like the perfect line and stuff, and like feels really forced. This didn't feel forced at all to me, and I just like laughed, and they felt like real people, and it was so enjoyable. It was only like a 6-hour audiobook, so it was very short, and I don't personally think you can really fit like a full romance into a 6-hour audiobook or like a 250-page book. I always feel like it ends up feeling kind of stilted, and this did suffer from that. So, like, you did get away with it a little bit more because they knew each other before. They had a lot of, like, memories to play off of and stuff that they were talking about because they have this, like, pretty rich history together. But at the same time, it was still, like, a little fast, and I wish that it had ended slightly different. So, I did enjoy this, though, and I ended up giving it 3 stars, and this is going to count, I think this counts for my book that ends on an even number of pages, so I think I just got another O in a subject. I did, so now I have an O in arithmancy, which is excellent. So I'm still listening to Lair of Dreams by Libba Brea. I have 5 hours left, so I feel like I've made pretty good progress with this. I think I was like at 8 hours when I started, and now I'm at 15, so I'm making my way through. And that's pretty much, I think, my main priority for tonight, although I only need to listen to, I think, like 1 or 2 more hours to, like, meet my goal for the day. I've drastically lowered my, like, goal per day at this point because I don't need to, so I'm, like, meeting and passing my goal every day, which is, it's good. It feels nice, but, like, it's because I really, really lowered it down because I'm almost done with my TBR. Like, I feel so good at this point. Anyway, I wanted to show you something interesting. So, I don't know, some of you have probably already seen this, but at work we get, like, promotional stuff for books. And since nobody there really reads young adult stuff, the person who does, like, the book buying and who ends up, like, receiving it all, and usually ends up, like, asking me if I want stuff. And so, I ended up getting, like, the little, like, Stay Peculiar pack for the next Ransom Riggs book coming out because nobody else there has read that series and cares about it, and I don't care about it either. I DNF'd the first book, but it came with like this, it came with like twine and then these really cute like little baby paper clips, which I've been wanting to buy myself baby paper clips anyway. Like, I've restrained myself from buying these multiple times before because I think they are so cute and I want to see if I can like find uses for them, but I've never like specifically had something to do with them, so I've always like not done it. But hey, I got free little paper clips and they're gold, so I think I'm gonna hang on to these. But if any of you want the pictures, let me know and I'll send them to you if you like the series. So there is like the Stay Peculiar thing, but then these are some of the other pictures in here. So the only one that I would like even consider keeping for myself would be this one, which I don't even know what I would do with it. I just think it's really beautiful and super interesting, but I don't know if I need the clutter, so we'll see. Anyway, if any of you want these, I guess whoever like leaves a comment first, I'll send it your way because I had the opportunity to get it and I know it would just like sit there for months at work, so let me know. But I'm gonna keep these, which I apologize if you want to. I think the point of this is that you can like hang them up with this, but I really wanted my paper clips, so sorry you guys. But I think that's it for now. I'm going to read and relax, and I've been really like planning out my September TBR and been having a lot of like fun getting that all organized. So I'll just probably keep doing stuff like that, and I need to eat. And the bedroom is like trashed again, which I know I just cleaned it, but I've been organizing stuff, so it's kind of like expanded again as I've organized stuff, and then I can like put it back again. So it's getting more organized, it's just very messy again, so I need to clean stuff up as well. Alright, so it is now 9:15 and I just finished listening to The Diviners by Libba Bray. This is the second book in the Diviners series, and I read the first book back in 2014, so it's been a few years. A couple of those years were not my fault because this book didn't come out until 2015. It's like I waited for over a year, and then when it did come out, I just never ended up getting to it. So like I said, I read the first half, I don't know, over a year ago, I think. And just now finally re-picked it up, and I liked it. I don't know, I think I was getting annoyed with it like the first time I picked it up, which is why I put it back down, and I'm glad I did, and I'm glad I picked it up now because I enjoyed it much more than I think I was before. But I don't know, I liked it. It's like a 3-star book for me. I didn't love it as much as the first one. I didn't find it as engrossing as the first one. Evie was like especially annoying in this one, but I did enjoy it, and man, the ending was super depressing, and I feel really bummed out now by all the stuff that happened in the last like 50, 70 pages. So anyway, I'm glad I have it off my list finally though. I've been meaning to get to it for so long, and it's finally done, which means whenever I feel like it, I can move on to the third book. But I think I'll wait until like the fourth book at least has like a solidified like publication date, so then that way I can just like go into the fourth book after that, because I know like how annoyed I was with waiting for the second book and how frustrated I was and how badly I wanted it. So anyway, that means it's time to start a new book. Alright, so here's what's going on. Last night I started The Sea Goddess of the Sea, whatever, by PC Cast. Let me pull it up. Goddess of the Sea, and I don't think I've ever related to a character less in my whole life of reading. She literally, her best friend doesn't call her on her birthday, so she ends up drinking like 2 full bottles of champagne and having like a major pity party. I'm like, oh my gosh. It's just a freaking day. Like, chill the heck out, please. And she's so whiny and obnoxious, and I don't know. I don't think I can make myself read anymore. So I listened to like 40 minutes of that. Unfortunately, it does no good for me, and that's pretty much all I got to last night. So I think this is actually where I'm going to wrap the vlog up. I don't think this one's quite as long as the other ones, but I guess we'll see in post. This means I have an A in Ancient Runes, an O in Arithmancy, an E in Astronomy, an O in Care of Magical Creatures, A in Defense Against the Dark Arts, an E in Herbology, an O in Muggle Studies, an O in Potions, and an O in Transfiguration. Plus, like, a few more random scattered throughout that don't count yet because they're, like, E's or O's. I only have 10 more books to read for the readathon at this point, and it's the 22nd, so I have a plenty of time. I just need to find a freaking mermaid book that doesn't drive me up a wall. I hope you guys have been enjoying the vlogs, and I will see you very soon for my next NEWTs Readathon vlog. Bye, everyone.